So it looks like you are looking for a macro lens that won't break the bank. Good news, buddy. Got you covered. Let's check it out. Internet, what's going on? It's Robert Teagarden back again with another Teagarden Tech Review. Today we are talking about the Rokinon, or Samyang, they're the same company, 100mm Cine lens T3.1. It's a macro, it's a beauty, and let's get into talking about what I like, what I don't like, all of that stuff. Before I get started, I almost forgot. If you dig what you see here, I'd love it if you would join the community, hit subscribe, ring that bell for post notifications. I post content weekly basis on filmmaking and the business of being a creative. So if you dig what you're seeing and hearing here, go ahead, join. It's fine. All your friends are doing it. We'll just peer pressure you into all that different stuff. Yeah, so macro lens, huh? 100mm, even better. Let's talk about this bad boy Rokinon right here, shall we? First thing we should discuss is the fact that this is a fully declicked aperture and manual focus lens. This 100mm lens has a 24-degree angle field of view when it's paired with a full frame sensor camera or a 35mm SLR equivalent. And the cool thing about this is that it has dual focus scales, both in feet and in meters. This lens is constructed of both plastic and metal elements, but even though there is some plastic on this lens, it is very hefty and it feels super solid. There are 15 glass elements in 12 groups, and the most incredible thing about this, at least for me, is that it has a minimum focus distance of 1 inch. Now, one of the things that I love about the Rokinon series, and really all Cine lenses in general, but the Rokinons are what I have quite a few of, is that the distance between your focal ring and your aperture ring are identical no matter what the focal distance of the lens is. So that means that if I set up my 100mm on sticks with the focus pole and the whole deal, and then I choose to switch out the lens to an 85, 50, 35, 24, the distance here is the same, so I don't need to change anything about my focus puller or my aperture puller. So it's pretty cool that I can just swap lenses however I want, depending on the focal distance that I want to use for that particular shot. And all of my stuff in terms of focus and aperture rings are already set up. I don't need to move anything in that regard. Great feature that I'm definitely very happy with. Now, this lens was a little confusing to me because it's a T3.1, and that doesn't necessarily seem like a very wide open aperture. I'm shooting on a 1.4 right now, so you can definitely get much bigger than that. But the 100mm focal length and the compression that provides, along with the T3.1 aperture, gives you this ridiculous razor thin plane of focus. One of the things that amazed me about this lens is that I could actually shoot and move like literally an inch back, and you would see something completely blown out in the foreground or the background and in razor sharp where I was choosing to focus. Now, that actually technically is what the definition of a macro lens would be, and the minimum focal distance of 1 inch gives you that razor thin plane of focus. But playing with this thing, it's just incredible to see that it actually is focusing on that shallow of a depth of field. Now, when I first started looking for a macro lens, I was doing a lot more product shoots, and when I started to research what types of lenses were being used for the shots that I found compelling, it was almost 100% on a macro lens. That and the fact that I was trying to get in super tight into certain shots to accentuate the details of things, and I couldn't do that with any other type of lens. I went down the rabbit hole and found that this was just the sweet spot between all of the things that I wanted: a manual focus macro lens that wasn't going to break the bank, the native adaptive lenses like the Sonys, Canons, and Nikons, and even some of the secondary lenses like a Sigma and a Tamron. They're a much higher price point, some of them almost double what this lens is, and they just didn't have features that I felt were compelling. So this is kind of the sweet spot that I found, and I'm really happy with this lens. This lens has made it with me on almost every single shoot that I've gone on in the last 2.5 months ever since I bought the lens. It's really become that valuable in my kit. Now, like I said, the combination of focal length and the low aperture allows for compression of the subject, which makes it perfect for product shots and getting really tight into details that I want to accentuate. This also allows for some super rad focus pulls and different dynamics of shots that would be virtually impossible with any other lens. It also is responsible for giving us a perspective that we don't typically see on a regular basis. The reason they say a 50mm lens is so great is because it's actually the closest thing to a perspective that the human eye sees. But when you start to get that tight on shots, it accentuates details that we don't necessarily see and allows for a very dynamic type of shot and composition. Now, is this an optically perfect lens? It definitely isn't, but you have to remember that we're talking about a $500 Cine Macro lens. And if you're looking for an optically perfect lens with a $500 price point, I think you need to not look at the lens and really look at your expectations, because I don't think you're going to be able to find that. But with that being said, I really hope that you dug this review. If you did like the video, please like the damn video and consider subscribing and ringing the bell for post notifications, because it definitely helps this channel a ton to reach more people at a faster rate. With that being said, guys, this is Robert Teagarden with another Teagarden tech review in the can. Look forward to seeing you guys very soon. Peace.